Okay. I'm going to call Sejin real quick, the phone banking person, and we'll talk to them. Hello.
Hello. My mic is trash, I apologize, but
You're good.
this event is about as free as it fucking gets, guys. There's no lodging cost, and if you can't get a ride, we have cars coming in from all over the place, alright? I've got open cars from North Carolina and South Carolina, Florida. I even have a car in Texas that might be able to get you in, okay? Alright? They're like, and if you want to drive from the Midwest, I can get you some company along the way. This is really as super cheap. In terms of if you want to meet some cool people, we have community nights on Saturday, and then on Sunday we'll have a nice little event for you to get to know people too. In terms of remote help, donating helps a lot because we want to encourage Steven to do this again. This is where I'm at. This won't happen again unless this is a success, right? This has to be hugely successful, all right? And so right now we are currently under target for the attendance that we want. That's not okay, okay? We need more people. We need people to bring their friends. We need to look back at this election, look at Muskogee County in Georgia, and see a whole ton of green for voter turnout, all right? I don't want to see any red sections of Columbus that didn't vote because we didn't bring enough people. That's not acceptable. All right.
Think about that, guys. There will be red sections in Georgia with your name on it because you decided not to go to this event when everything, like every bit of preparation that you would need for this, like aside from getting here, is pretty much covered. They're trying to work out carpools from all sorts of places. If you join the Discord and you just sign up, they will literally look through your sign up sheet, look through all of the information they have about carpooling, and try to match you with somebody. And if that doesn't work out, then you can literally DM one of the organizers and they will personally try to find you a ride. They're trying to pull out all of the stops to help you. So, you know, really consider what the barriers are stopping you from coming here, and think if you can like meet them halfway and overcome it. So if that means, you know, taking like the weekend off of work, I mean, if you have the days, then, you know, feel free. Or if that means just like, you know, grinning and bearing a bit of a drive and you're okay with that, there are podcasts and there's content I make and other people make that could like get you through that car ride. And you know, there are some like cool streamer people and other people that are offering like carpool rides. Like I think Bastay is driving people from Florida. So, you know, if you live nearby to somebody that's cool and may want to go, you may want to reach out to them and just see, hey, if I go with you, will that like take out the, you know, the barrier for you? Like if you have somebody to chill with on the car ride there, is it that big a deal? You would be surprised at how many people are on the fence. So, I mean, really think about it, guys, because if this turns out well, like Sejin said, is it Sejin? Is that how I should pronounce it?
Sejin.
Sejin.
Yeah.
And it's he, him?
Yeah.
Okay. As he says, you know, like if this doesn't have a good turnout, that reduces the likelihood of it happening again. So really think about the impact you could have by showing up and being one of the heads that we can count on the day of. You know, it's huge.
We're getting close to our goal of 100, but right now we're almost at 80. We want 100 for sure, and then we don't want people dropping out. So we want to be safe at like 120 people signed up. Also, the experience itself, I cannot explain to you how important it is for you to go out there and actually meet the backbone of the Democratic Party. Just think about it. These are the people that have been voting for years, despite Georgia being a deep red state. These are people that, despite the odds, kept going for inconceivable reasons, right? These people just kept the faith. And it's really important that we learn from these people, especially because they're all older, right? The average door that you'll knock on is like at least 50 years old, because these are the people that have been trying to change the way the country goes for generations, right? And so it's our turn to kind of take the torch that they've been carrying for way too long and carry them into a new like era of progress. Yeah, it's an amazing experience to meet all of these people that have just been voting for decades.
Yeah. And tell me more about the phone banking, because as I understand it, we didn't have like necessarily all of the information on hand about that.
Okay, yeah. So there are two options. One, phone banking for our event to get us better turnout. Obviously, that is super important to try to just basically make sure that this happens again, that we're a force to be reckoned with in the future. That gives us leverage as an organization to get better connections, to get better resources in the future. And then two, phone banking for actual official organizations that are calling voters. We go through someone named Nico that has been a great help to this organizing effort. He helps us train our canvassers, and he's been providing us a lot of resources to the local Democratic Party and stuff. If you get in contact with him, he can get you signed up with one of the groups that do phone banking on behalf of the campaigns, and you can actually get paid for that. So if you're strapped for cash, join the Discord and talk to Nico. Yeah. What other questions you got?
Well, if you want to talk about that a little bit, I like your enthusiasm behind like they're pulling all the stops for you. They're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to go out there. It's crazy to hear you and Doug both kind of talk about how like we will literally pay for stuff to have you here. Like if you are considering going, we will try our best to like enable that to happen for you, because if you're that close to wanting to do this, we want to like make that possible for you. And if that means trying to help you with accommodations or carpool or like, you know, just spending time on figuring out how to get you here, like that's all so worth it. And it seems strange to me because I'm not used to valuing like participation that much, but you guys really do.
Participation is huge because every person we get out there, because we're not even at 100, increases our effectiveness by a pretty big ratio, right? If we have like 100 people, which we're not even at, and we get 5 people to come, that's a 5% increase in output. That translates to about 500 doors minimum over the weekend, which translates to, let me do some quick math, or 0.7% of the doors in Columbus. So our target is to reach as many Democratic doors as possible. So if we're assuming that half of the doors in Columbus are Democratic voting, which it's not, it's a little bit more. So we'll say like 40,000. Let's say there are 40,000 Democratic households, and you're knocking on 500 of those doors. That is 1.25% of the doors. So that's just with 5 people. And so we're targeting 100 people. So we'll multiply that by 20. We're targeting at least to get like 25% of all the Democratic doors in Columbus.
Fuck, that's a lot of people.
That is a lot of people, because we're not just like, it's not just every household is like 3 or 4 voters sometimes, because these households are multi-generational. If you look on our lists, we'll have people that are 70, 50, and maybe even 20 or 30. These are multi-generational households, which means our ratio per knocking is much higher than you'd think it is. There are 200,000, I think, Democratic voters and only 74,000 households in Columbus. So obviously there's going to be way more people in these houses than we think there are.
And it's like you're a part of somebody else's recollection of their day to other people. Like when we're around the table with grandma and somebody knocked and like helped her vote, we're going to be one of the topics of discussion at the dinner table. And you're multiplying that by every single house that you knock on, every single house, every single like life of a person that you're touching. It's difficult to measure how big that impact is. And beyond that, like at a strategic level, all of this was decided for you as a canvasser as well. Somebody combed through a bunch of voter information to find people who are likely to vote Democratic. So you're not wasting your time just walking down neighborhoods and blindly knocking on doors. You're knocking on people who are very likely to convert into a Democratic vote. So, you know, with every door you're doing, there's a bunch of strategy that's gone behind putting you there. And you're like, you're a part of like a larger plan with trying to get people out there and trying to get this vote done. And it's, it's cool that everybody at every step in that process is trying really hard to make it happen, and they're trying really hard to make it worth it. And the culmination of that is like doing everything that they can to try to get you out there to just knock on the fucking doors, because we have everything else figured out. So it's like, really, really, really consider going down there, guys. Like, for real.
That person's name is Darian and Talia, and they're MVPs. They're amazing people, and I hope you get to meet them when we're down there.
Heck yeah. That'll be fun. All right. Awesome.
People are talking about COVID in the chat. All right. Real quick, we have had 0 confirmed cases of COVID among our canvassers from the event. Okay? We have PPE, hand sanitizer available, and we social distance. We are about as safe as it gets when it comes to how we canvass. If you don't have PPE, or if your like PPE doesn't fit you correctly, we'll give you new PPE. Okay? If you need hand sanitizer, you can take a bottle with you on the go and like sanitize between houses. I'm not saying that it's not a concern. Obviously it is. Obviously you should take it seriously. But if you're concerned about it, we're all concerned about it, right? We all know someone that might be at risk. But we quarantine after. We take the precautions necessary to make sure that we can participate responsibly in democracy without just recklessly going out there and knocking on doors. Also, I mean, come on, guys. Just don't be stupid and you'll be fine. Keep your mask on, wash your hands, take your clothes off when you get back, change them, put in the bag. Just don't be stupid and you'll be fine.
And they're there to help you not be stupid by giving you every opportunity to be smart.
Our strategy is remove all the obstacles. This is like if you were running down, like an alleyway, and you know those scenes where like people will throw things behind to slow the person down. We're doing the opposite of that. We're sweeping aside all the stuff that they're throwing on the ground, making sure that you can catch up to the guy and catch him. Yeah.
It's like a curling competition, guys. They're like violently sweeping the path in front of us so it goes as far as possible. Amazing. I know in DMs you've mentioned that some other people, like some other big influencer people, are going to this event. Off the top of your head, who are some big names or names that the audience might know of people who are going to be there and are going to be knocking on doors?
The confirmed list we have so far is I'm Really Important, who's awesome, Bastiat, who's awesome, Irrelevant, who is awesome, Dylan Burns, who I don't know that well, Lycand, who is awesome, and you. That's who we have confirmed. Oh, and Bose. Bose is coming.
Awesome. That's dope.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
we got tons of cool people to meet. And then also, what you don't, like the people that you'll get to meet that aren't on that list, that aren't streamers, is the Yvette lady from the Twitter videos. She's awesome. And then Afrosabi is her Twitter handle. You might get to meet Laura, who's the local Democratic chairman of the city of Columbus. And then you'll meet the people from the math team. And then I think there are a couple other people you get to meet that escaped me because I do a million things. This is a 24/7 job and it kills me.
Which I've seen firsthand behind the scenes. These guys are working all the time to try to make this happen for you guys, which is why I really want to highlight how many of the barriers are being removed and just how much effort is going into making it an easy decision to go to this event. So really, all you have to do as a viewer is meet them halfway. And when I say halfway, I mean putting in 10% of effort to just make the arrangements so you're free on that day and you can make it possible in your life, because they do everything they can to make it easy once you get there, once you get out to the event. So if you can spend the time and, there's some kind of question on your mind about coming, don't be afraid to ask about it. Don't be afraid to ask for a ride in the carpool channel of the Discord. Don't be afraid to sign up and mention something in the about section of your forum. I think these guys are more than willing to try and help you get out here. So if you're considering it, if you're on the fence, just fill it out and see what happens. You know, even if you don't think that like they could help you, I think you might be surprised.
If you DM me, I will move mountains to help you get to this event. Okay. Yeah, that's been my job 24/7 is moving all the obstacles out of the way. If you can get to the airport but can't get a ride to the hotel, we got you. If you can, if you're along the way, if you can only go for one day, we still got you. Okay. We're doing everything we can to make sure that this is as easy as possible for everyone, and we're not leaving anyone behind. That's been a huge goal of mine. Is that we're not going to say like, okay, this person, screw him, he's a little bit too far away. We'll still try to get you there. Okay, we'll do the best we can without spending hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. And if you're the kind of person that you're like, but that's the fun part for me. I like spending hundreds of dollars. I don't want to go ahead and drive down to the middle of nowhere to go knock on people's doors. I'm not about that. Well, there are donation links, and you can help these people to grease the wheels for others that want to come down here and do that knocking. Because again, though Destiny is fronting the costs for a lot of different parts of this, there's a lot of different people from a lot of different places putting money into this to try to make it possible for people. And if you want to be one of those people that's helping in whatever way you can through donations or something else, for real, just click on that Reddit post, take a look. There's lots of opportunities for however it is that you want to help out with this. And again, if we could make this happen, this could be huge in terms of like the broader, like I think maybe you could talk more on that. Like if everything goes as planned here, if you get all the voters out, if we end up having like a democratic success or a democratic win here, what does that look like for the country? What will be the benefit of that?
We're talking about the removal of obstructionism in our Senate, which means that if you hate that the government doesn't do anything, this is what you come out for. Even if you don't like Democrats, at least the government's trying again, right? We've been going on for so long, just like waiting for our government to do something, but like neither party will pass something. If you hate obstructionism, this is the event to go to. If you hate, if you don't like the way that Trump has behaved the past 4 years, this is the event to go to. This will be this will help us return to somewhat normal stance in terms of getting McConnell away from having all the power in the Senate. Even if we're at 50-50 in the Senate, because we have the vice presidency, there will be a Democrat as the majority speaker, or not majority speaker, the majority leader, Senate majority leader. That's the term. Yeah. And then also, if you want COVID relief, you want to get that needs legislation to be passed, whether it's Democratic or Republican. So if you want that, you have then get out here and help us out. We're at a position, a very unique time, actually, I think, in American history, where if the next 2 years could be pretty good for us, in terms of we might get things like universal healthcare passed, or at least a private or public option. We'll get COVID relief, and then whatever else comes alongside that. And 2 years from now is kind of scary because we have to go into midterms, and if either the House or the Senate flips, which they usually do after an election, where one party has control, people are like, they're not good enough anymore, and they try to flip it. And then 4 years from now, even scarier, suddenly then we don't have historical data to go off of anymore. We had a record high turnout for both Republicans and Democrats. So the playbook is thrown out in terms of being able to predict any sort of election, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our population size increased to the point where our old sample sizes, our old methods don't work anymore. And we've seen that. In the 2016 and 2020 election, our polling data was like it was accurate in terms of who they targeted, but the analysis wasn't. Like the proportions of people that we expect to vote changed and have changed over the past 4 years drastically. We have no idea what will happen in 2024, so we have to secure as much of the work as we want done now in these next 2 years and the 2 years after that potentially.
And if you've never participated and you want to participate and you want to make a habit out of that and you want to take part in these battles that you know are being discussed right now, then I think this is as good a place as any to start. So if you're looking for your first, you know, opportunity to you know, work for the Democrats and try to help stuff, or if you're looking for you know, an opportunity to get back into it. Let's say you become disillusioned, as many people have over the past, you know, few years with politics, then this is the time to get back into it. I think this is the time to start making habits for 2021 that are going to have an impact on the world. And if more people do this kind of stuff and make it a normal thing, I think, again, it's difficult to measure how much that ripples out. So I appreciate, you know, you and Doug and everybody else for trying to organize this and trying to make it happen. And I really hope that we can get a turnout that, you know, means that we get more of these in the future. And I hope that we inspire enough people in Georgia that they do stay behind and they do, you know, leave the remnants of some DGG activism effort such that we could like come back to Georgia in the future and do something. That would be really cool. I know Doug talked about that a little bit.
We're already looking at projects we could be targeting in the next year or the year after that. But those won't happen if this isn't successful. And also, there was something else someone mentioned I wanted to address in chat. Ask him what Destiny's canvassing team is planning for 2022. Right now, nothing, because we are going to focus on local politics. When you talk to people that know about politics, the first thing that they'll tell you is that most of the power is at the local level. If you want police reform, those are your city council and mayoral elections. If you want like just small, like the legalization of marijuana, you can do that at the state level. The decriminalization of drugs happened in this past election in Oregon, I believe. And so we're going to start targeting seats that we think we can flip through our influence. That's the goal. We went out to this Georgia election because it was a one very close election. There are areas that were being overlooked, Columbus in particular, which is why we're there. And we thought we could make an impact. And the goal of this organization, if you want to call it that, is to make impacts, is to not just run campaigns and like increase the run up the score or anything like that. Our goal is to flip seats, to get people that we believe to be responsible politicians into positions where they can actually affect change that we want to see. We're talking state representatives, we're talking city council, all these smaller things that we think that we can have an impact on are our target. We're trying to revive local politics in a sense. And that's super important, and it's something that disappeared in the 70s, 80s, and 90s that we're trying to change now.
And thank God for that. All right. Well, unless you have any last notes about, you know, the parts of things that you want to promote from this, or any like, you know, final message you want to leave with the viewers, the floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. 5 years from now, I want you to think what you would have regretted. If you can imagine who you are 5 years from now, and then you think, what if that person looked back, what would they regret? I bet you one of them was not participating in this election, because it is historic. Either we go down fighting and fighting hard, or we change the country for the foreseeable future. And I'm the kind of person that always wants to be on the right side of history, and this is how I'm doing it. So consider that and really think about what it means to live, like be able to live with yourself in the future, living without regrets. If you have any questions, if I can remove any more obstacles out of the way for you, my name is Sejin on Discord. You can find me through the Reddit post that is exclamation point Georgia, and I will do my best to get you there. So, talk to you soon.
Thanks. Talk to you soon. There we are. So cool, people. Full disclosure, I will be staying with both of these organizer people, for some portion of my time at the event. So, I've gotten to know what they're doing like pretty well. I've gotten to have like a sneak peek at, what's going into organizing these things and the kind of work that these two people are putting in particular. Dude, they're like me with the streaming thing, dude. They are out working on this stuff literally all day. And whether that means coming on and talking to a dumb fuck like me, or, like he said, working with this Nico person on getting on getting people signed up for phone canvassing, like they're working on stuff all the time, and they're constantly thinking about how can we get more people to this event? How can we like help them? They're DMing people. Like, these two are literally spending so much time in the DMs with people, answering questions that are already answered on the Reddit document, or telling people for the 100,000th time that they need to sign up on the sign up sheet. Like, these two have to deal with the parts of running a business that I hate the most. The fucking dealing with customer problems and guiding them through. Like, these guys have the patience of saints, and they're sitting here trying to help as many people as possible come here. They're working through problems with everybody who's like, I have a ride down there. My friend's cool. I got 2 people I can bring with me, but we don't have a place to stay. Like, Georgia's kind of far from us. It's like another state over. These guys are trying to help so many people come down here and do this. And this is all setting aside the fact that Destiny is paying for like the rooms and stuff. So it's like they're trying to do everything they can possibly do to make it to where you don't have an excuse not to come down here. All you have to do is meet them halfway and get your booty down here, and they will figure out the rest. And even getting your booty down here is something where you may at this point in time be able to sign up for a carpool from your state. There are people coming from Florida. There are people coming from the Northeast. There are people coming from the Midwest. There are people coming from all over the place. They're all converging on Georgia to do this thing, and you might be able to hitch a ride with all sorts of people. So like, you may have a carpool ride with Bastier all the way to Georgia, right? How fun would that be? Hey, that's the kind of experience I would pay for, bruh. If you told me it's $50 to like carpool with Bastier, I would take it. That sounds like fun, dude. So, there's plenty of memories to be made. There's plenty of victories to be won here. And as the person we just spoke with kind of mentioned, there's also regret to be had. So if you think that this is something you'll regret not doing in the future, you'll wish you started 2021 outright by helping a cause that you care about and hanging out with streamers and people who you enjoy, then really consider doing it. I mean, there's so many reasons to do this that I'm surprised that they don't already have 100 people signing up to go. So for real, go out there, go do this. I know that my audience is small. I know that I'm talking your guys' ear off about it, but like, for real, I want to do the best that I can to help these people, because I think they're really trying hard to like do a good job here. Florida, hey, that's me. Yeah, there you go. Maybe they can help you get past the first level of Doom Eternal. Well, good thing I beat the game, so joke's on you. They need automated customer service. Yeah, maybe, dude. I think it's pronounced Sejin. Sejin was real fucking good about answering everybody's questions and stuff. He had a lot of really good... Doug did too. They both did. Really good information from these two. I appreciate them taking the time out of their day to do this. So, do you love black people? Yeah, I love black people. Then go. All right. It's decided. My love of black people pushed me to Georgia, dude, so I can make this election happen. But yeah, so I hope that's all cool. I think we're going to move to playing faster and light now to kind of see the stream off. This is a new game that I downloaded, but for real, anybody, again, !Georgia, that'll give you the Reddit post. You can from there sign up to the Discord, sign up for phone banking, sign up for whatever. I'm doing phone banking. You could do phone banking. That's the very least that you could do, because you could do that with a phone number, I'm pretty sure, anywhere in the United States. And Sejin and Nico are willing to help you with getting you a list and figuring out how to make that happen. So if you want to do that, that's still something that you could do, and you can make an impact that way. You don't have to come down. But if you can come down and you're tempted to, this is Booksmarts really like sitting in your room with you, pleading through your monitor and your headphones, please Anon, please come down to Georgia, please, just come down, dude. People from the US are lucky as fuck. If you are close to Georgia, go participate, people, for real. Yeah, like you have the opportunity to, and you live in the greatest country in the world where you get a vote and you're not hindered and all this other shit. So just come down and fucking do it, dude. Come down and help us. We need help, dude. We need you guys. Like, we actually need you. We need you to come down and help us. In like he said, the goal is to hit like 25% of everybody in Columbus. And remember that 25%, and he didn't mention this, but that 25% is like of the general population. That's not of like registered Democrats. That's not of like the people who is important to us. We're not talking to the fucking ML people on Twitter that are registered fucking communists, stupid fuck people. We're talking about people that already know how to vote. We're talking about people that have voted in the past or engaged in the political process, who have indicated to the Democratic Party that they're interested in actually voting in an election. We're not wasting our time on dumb fuck people that are just like obstructionists for the sake of things, or they just like arguing. Remember, we talked about how there's a stream, and that stream ends at like the actual actions taken by the government, and we're looking at a part that's way close to that arm of the end of it, right? And most people on the internet like to be way over here at the base of the fucking mountain where all the water collects into the very beginning of a river, okay? And they like looking at ideas and all this other bullshit. But we're way down here. We're way close to like the outlet of this river. We know what the water looks like, okay? And we're trying to fix it at the very last second on its way out so that it can have some kind of impact. I love what these people do over here. That's fine and that's great. But we're way closer to the outlet, and we're trying to make like a real impact. So if that's what you're down for, please help us. If you make fun of leftist people for not doing any work, this is your opportunity to put your money where your mouth is. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with it. If you're going to talk shit on all these other people for not participating, you need to be participating yourself, guys. And this is like a wonderful opportunity to do just that.
Are we live? Good or no?
Yes, we are live.
Okay, turning off all the terrible word filters.
Okay, amazing. Then we can get some real answers.
Yes.
So if you want to start with like a brief introduction about who you are and maybe like what event we'll be talking about.
Member of the Communist Party.
There we go. That's good.
Okay. So we're gonna get past the bit then. Okay, that's my fun. Okay, so I guess I'm DougofCA, but currently I'm DougofGA because I knew the infamous Stephen Bonnell III through a connection, and we worked together. I helped coordinate a lot of those congressional interviews that I was very proud of that were on Twitch, and then we decided, what's more praxis or more political points or whatever you want to call it than platforming potential political candidates for local office, but was to actually influence local political change. And so what we're doing in Georgia, if you haven't seen it or heard of, we are directly mobilizing people to show, not just vote, but to canvass and to try to change the Senate. We've been canvassing every weekend in Georgia for the past almost 2 months now, minus Christmas last weekend.
That's a lot of time. Are you flying out there every single time with them, or?
And boy, are my arms tired. Yes.
Alrighty. Well, is this something that is being funded in part by Yang, or is this mostly like a Destiny out of pocket thing, or do you?
This is this. So to understand the exact organization, Legally, we are an independent grassroots organization. Steven is just saying, "Hey, everybody, I'm going to be here. You should come here for these things." The not technically legally tied to Andrew Yang math movement are organizers who have been helping us out. But in terms of Steve and I have done this mostly out of pocket. We are the ones who have been coordinating with local groups. We're working with local Dems. We're working with various local groups. We have organized the canvas. We picked out the places. We mapped out the strategy, and we've done all the invitation, all the marketing of this event, including buying all the pizza and the tables and chairs and clipboards and all the stuff necessary to do a real political organizing. Full credit, this is a very big alpha test of what. We just said, let's just see what happens when it comes to this kind of idea. And so for now, we're just experimenting, we're politically curious. And then the next step, who knows, maybe we've got a few balls in the air we'll explore next. But for now, we're just trying to focus on changing the country for the greater good and of democracy and such, working to elect Warnock and Ossoff to the Senate, because a Democratic Senate means a Senate that can provide COVID relief, it can provide climate change reform, it can provide healthcare reform, and economic justice.
Okay. And I don't know if you're able to do this, but if you could provide a quick contrast between the two Democratic candidates and their Republican counterparts, if there were some primary differences in policy or whatever, why are some voters picking these Republican candidates, and why is it better that we go for the Democrats in Georgia specifically?
Well, the primary reason is the Georgia senators have voted for a very conservative COVID relief package. And if we elected two Democratic senators, that would give Joe Biden, the Democrats, full control of the legislative branches and the executive, which could enact sweeping economic reforms to help people survive this incredibly heinous pandemic and economic recession. Without that, we will be forced to compromise with the most reactionary elements of America. These two senators have both profited off of the COVID depression through a technically legal but basically insider trading based on their knowledge of the COVID epidemic. Both of them, despite being informed about what was happening with COVID in a closed-door security meeting, then used that information to not only deny that COVID was a risk and thus fluffing the market, while themselves betting against the market and withdrawing valuable stocks. This is all entirely legal, but it's a demonstration of their character and their interests. They were perfectly willing to tell the American people that all was fine while they profited.
And if voters wanted to learn more about what you're talking about here with this kind of using insider information, what would be a good article or what are some good write-ups on that would be a place they could start?
I think both Warnock and Ossoff have excellent write-ups about it on their campaign websites. The American Prospect, in my opinion, did an incredible investigative journalism into specifically Loeffler and her investments and choices about the market. I know ProPublica did one on both of them, but I haven't read it yet. But I read the Prospect one, was very good. And to be honest, for the general purpose and knowledge of people who are going to be attending the canvas or interested in this kind of project, Warnock and Ossoff's personal campaign websites more than go into detail about what happened. Okay. Obviously with a biased manner, but in a fairly elegant and efficient and accurate manner.
And when we're talking about these canvassing efforts, and we're talking about canvassing, we're talking about door knocking, what does that actually look like on the ground? For somebody that ends up deciding that they're going to head out to Georgia, they're going to do this, they're going to go knock on the doors, what does a full day in the life of that person look like at an event like this?
Well, so the honest answer is you wake up. So this coming weekend, are we just talking specifically this coming weekend, or generally speaking?
I figured this upcoming weekend.
Okay, so this weekend, you'll transport yourself down on your own dollar and time. Although we're trying to provide resources for people who need assistance with that. You can stay at other places, but we're encouraged. But we set up a partnership with a hotel that's in the Columbus area, where you can stay for a slightly discounted rate than average with your fellow DGGers and canvassers. And then you can on Saturday and Sunday morning, we will transport you to canvassing centers where you will go and to a neighborhood, knock doors, and ask people to remind people to vote or to come out to vote or to ask them to vote. before that, we'll give you training on how to use the applications that will be giving to people to allow them to canvas, which it's a software application called Minivan, which basically you just log in. Again, we give you a code and it just says, okay, please knock these 20 houses. Here's a script, go for it. We'll give ample training to help people and who have uncomfortable or don't have experience canvassing, so don't be afraid. I think one of the most interesting elements about this canvas is, based on our internal survey data, 80% of the people who have come out to our little project have never canvassed before. We are creating a real change in the organizing economy when it comes to political mobilization.
That's great.
And so after you do organizing, we have it broken up in 2 shifts, one at 10 o'clock, starting at 10, going to 1, then another one starting at 2:30. We'll, of course, feed you all the pizza you could possibly want at lunch. Saturday, we're going to keep it casual. So we're going to try to have some like activities organized in the evening for some DDGers. There's some talks about a gaming event. There's some talks just trying to be COVID safe. We'll repeat the same process on Sunday. Wake up at 10, do the canvassing, do lunch, break, second canvassing shift. But then we're going to do it this weekend, which is unique. We're going to do like a little event for everyone for this grand project. We'll get some thank yous. We'll have some speakers, and then we'll kind of celebrate the work we did. And then Monday morning, you all go home, and we can all, whether you can pray to whatever God or religion fashion you worship, or just hope and believe in the American democratic system for the change we deserve.
Awesome. And when I understand that a lot of people that know who Destiny is or might be interested in content similar to his, these are a lot of people that witness debate a lot. They witness a lot of confrontation. They witness a lot of like friction between people of different ideologies. But as I understand it, and this is something that was that may be new information to people, these canvassing efforts are directed specifically at Democratic voters, right? Like you wouldn't happen to knock on the door of a registered Republican voter, and if you did, that would be like kind of an anomaly.
Yeah. So the strategy that has been decided upon by most of the Georgia state parties, that the data we're working with, is they're more focused on turnout and mobilizing voters who previously voted for the Democrats. So in theory, that could be someone who may vote for Romney or McCain or back in the day, or for that matter, theoretically could have voted for Trump, although that data excludes it for the most part. These are people who have a history of voting for the Democratic Party, and they're sympathetic. The big issue right now is it's a special election. Low turnout happens. In addition, it's the incredible oddity of being a double special election. There's been a lot of misinformation encouraging people not to vote for one candidate or the other by implying you can only vote for one candidate. So the main battle is just getting people to show up. Debate's valuable, and I think it's a fun activity. And we're in talks of trying to do like an amateur debate night on Saturday is one of the things we're going to try to do. But our primary focus is to do democracy, and sometimes that's not debate. Sometimes that's not the sexiness of going and confronting the enemy in the field of battle. What it is sometimes just the dirty work of knocking on the door of some elderly couple and saying like, "Hey, do you want to throw a vote?" And they're like, "Oh, of course, I completely forgot. Thanks." And that's honestly what most of what we're doing. Also, like, we're distributing literature and, honestly, as silly as it sounds, campaign signs. Those little lawn signs, they go pretty far. They give people an investment in the office. When people look outside the window, they see that and they're like, "Oh yeah, I got to vote today."
Yeah, and it's probably a fun way to measure your progress, I'd imagine, as you make your way down a street and you're slowly starting to add up all those signs or something like that.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Sam, what is this?
Oh, thank you. And then I also mention this just because I think maybe some people are intimidated by the idea of knocking on doors, or they're intimidated of the idea of engaging with a bunch of strangers that they don't know. And I think it's helpful for them to have that extra context of like, no, I mean, you're talking to people that are more or less on the same page as you. I heard some really interesting stories during your interview with Rage Pope about kind of like encountering some people who they honest to God need help with voting, whether they're elderly elderly and they don't know how, or you mentioned one story about an elderly couple, one of which had, passed away, and who had normally helped the other one with, registering to vote and all of that. And I thought that was a good example of the reason that you're doing something like this. Do you have any other like personal stories that you could add to that?
I mean, one of the stories I have from canvassing, not from this event, but from a previous campaign I worked on, was just, it's as simple as people need to be confronted and motivated to vote. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, I voted. But it's another thing, they're like, no, what's your plan to vote? When are you going to vote? And that's something you run into a lot of. There's I forget which, I think it was Gallup did this, but like famously, whenever we do something that basically allows people to identify and prove they voted, the stickers back in the day, the Facebook I vote badge, whatever it is, that increases voter turnout because it matters. It holds people to account about demonstrating their willingness to be mobilized. And that sometimes just having someone knock on your door, they're like, oh yeah, thanks for the reminder. I appreciate that a lot. Like, I wish I could say like, yes, we're going to deploy the internet, the DGG internet debate lord shock troops into the hard Republican territory, but like that's not valuable. We could spend an hour debating two Republicans, and at the same time we could knock on the door and remind 10 people to vote who might not have forgotten or don't have the resources to, or need help getting the voter process done. It's just the efficient allocation of resources and labor capital.
And I thought that was another interesting point you made on the Rage Pope interview. That's something I've tried to echo with people asking about, like, what do I do with leftists that are, skeptical of what we're trying to do, or who don't understand the gravity of this election? And to those people, I tell them, look for somebody who isn't like at that point, who isn't so far against it, and find somebody who's kind of more on the fence, or somebody who just needs a plan to get out there and do something, or to focus those same efforts, the same amount of time you would arguing with somebody, and put that into phone banking or put that into something else. But at the same time, I realized that practically speaking, not everybody can make it out and do the canvassing in Georgia. What are some opportunities for people to remote help with this election, or with this race in Georgia?
So, in most normal organizations, you can always phone bank. You can always share and communicate with the organization on social media, and that helps. We're trying to be a bit more conservative in our focus. We're trying to purely focus on ground game. So we've already have a team of our RTs set up to remind and call people to show up. So we're good on that. But the big thing, like if you are in Books Art audience, or if you're in DGG or whatever audience, and you want to help, but you live in Alaska, yes, there are some incredibly dedicated people who are coming from very far away to come out and canvass. But if you're in Alaska or Spain or Mexico or Canada or Japan and want to help but can't, well, we don't need your donation. Like, honestly, like, we're flattered by the social media support. Like, I always blush like an embarrassed child whenever someone says thank you for the work you're doing. So like, but so you can direct that to other people. Like, I obviously be respectful, but like what I think in a real interesting opportunity is the mobilization of the denizens of the internet in this way. Like, in the same way that any kind of organization can be mobilized to vote for a candidate, whether we're talking about the petroleum workers or actors or teachers, I think we can mobilize the people that make their living on the internet to activate their resources. I don't, obviously, be respectful, but if you really want to help, tell your favorite streamer that you respect, who you know is passively interested in this, or will be affected by this, and that's every single American streamer, and then some, that like, hey, I think you should support this, or I think you should call it out. If they have the resources and options, they should travel. Like, it would go really far. Even the small streamers, like, every little point of connection to an audience and mobilizing matters. That's important. I don't want to be romantic about it. Like, streaming isn't the Actors Guild or Teachers Union yet, but like, at one point in my life, I thought of pursuing a teaching credential. Do you know what my first path to that was? Being a TA in a college classroom. Not now. Now is that exactly comparable to a streamer with 100 and 150 people in their audience? Is this TA compared to a teacher? Maybe not exactly right, but it's an understanding of these things. If you don't invest in the small creators and those small creators aren't have their interest invested into political mobilizing, that's never going to go anywhere. It's only going to be a few odd, like it's just going to be Steven and myself just banging on the table saying, "Come out and knock on doors." What I think is really important is the recognition of political power. Like political power is. So it is true in some elements that a single vote does not matter because there are very few elections decided by single digits. There are some, however, when people mobilize collectively, when you get people to vote together on issues, that's political power, and I think that's what we're seeing now with this. When I'm curious, do you have any experience doing political organizing or political activism or campaigning beyond just internet talk? And such. No offense if that's whatever you might do.
I went to a lot of those. I forget what they called them. It was like barnyards or house yards or something. Bernie had these events in Long Beach where people from the community could come down, and they talked not only about like what volunteer opportunities there were, but like specifically how are like his policies related to like things that they wanted to pass locally in Long Beach. And I went to a lot of those. I think they were called like barnyards or something.
Barn burners.
There we go. I went to a few of those, and I think I did. I think I did some phone canvassing during that time at the when that was all going on.
Yeah. Have you ever not? So like, I think that's a good first step, but I think what's really important is the next bit. Like, the really difficult part is like the direct action, providing labor, your labor ability. For some people, this is gonna be canvassing. I don't have it set up yet, but down the line, I want people like I've had who have like skills with web development, skills with graphic design. I don't know. Apparently, there's a big music scene on Twitch. Maybe mobilize those people. Like, there is a lot of stuff it takes to run a campaign effectively. It's not just door knockers and people with spreadsheets. Like, as silly as it sounds, like the right kind of logo, the little bit of graphics, fix can really help every little bit of it. And that's why I imagine this project being long term. So if you can't come out and canvas, well, one, like in 2 years, we might be canvassing near you, and that's where you can make up for it. Like this right now, we're canvassing in Georgia. We might be in New York in a year. We might be in Oregon in 2 years. We might be in Texas in 2 years. There's going to be there's always an election somewhere happening in America. We could be there. Yeah. So we'll be an election near you.
And there's crazy people like you all over the country trying to organize little events all the time. So if you're in your own community and you know that there's shit that you want fixed, I'm sure you're not the only one that's thought about that. And I'm sure if you look into it, you'll find people like Doug all over that are trying to make things happen, that are trying to bring attention to stuff, and that are trying to like impact real change. And those are the people like around you that are like in the background, resulting in the way the government works currently. So if you want to be a part of that, if you just look into it, I think you'll find that there's a lot of people willing to like take you on and accept the help.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to grow this organization. However, it should be noted that Steven is in charge of this organization. I will respect his wishes on how he wants to grow this organization. But I see this kind of organizing, this kind of denizens, internet citizens, Webinanians, whatever you want to call it, being organized in a distributed manner, being the potential future, like as a strong option. Like, my favorite comparison is the NRA. The NRA, like, not that many Americans own guns, and for that matter, like, not that many Americans have that radical opinion on guns compared to like the majority of Americans who don't own a gun. Again, the NRA is not the best funded, or for that matter, the biggest spender of like an organization of this matter. It's not in the top 10% of spenders when it comes to like political fundraising or something like that. What the NRA is good at compared to say like a lot of other organizations is the NRA is very good at delivering people power. Like if you are a Republican running in Texas and you have the better history on guns and get better politics from their perspective against a Republican primary, they will back you to the hilt. They will deliver easily 20 people come out and canvass for you every weekend. That matters. I am old enough to remember. I remember like these kind of disorganized, vaguely center left to far left organization that's been happening in this country for generations now, starting with the anti-globalist movement in the 90s, the anonymous movement, the Sopa Pippa protests, the Sesta Fosta protests. All these organizations have been like decentralized, and now we are reaching a potential opportunity where, like, because of the role or the opportunities that like the streamer internet culture young people have found themselves in, we have an opportunity to kind of create like a organization around that kind of ideology, those kind of politics, decentralized, but like mobilize and having a central planning and organization required to do like real organizing. The problem with like hyper distributed organizing is like there's no data, there's no support, there's no infrastructure. It's just people in Slack chats. You need to have tables and folding chairs and clipboards and data to back this to work properly. And that's what I'm really excited about with this being the future potentially.
And another thing that you mentioned, and I know that you're like kind of sharing the direction in being in charge of it or whatever with Destiny, you mentioned like just having some good graphics or just having something that looks nice can make a huge difference with getting people out there or seeing a return on you know, that investment. I'm wondering, did you have a big hand then in the promotional video that went out recently for the canvassing event?
No, that was his incredibly fine editor, whose name escapes me, but I believe is August something on Reddit. I don't know, unfortunately. But yeah, like that's the first little bit like step. Like I would rather have him made that 30-second video than have him canvas for an entire weekend. That alone is gonna be incredibly valuable for us. And there's 100 little steps of the process that are like that. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like, so I was talking, like, my Twitter isn't great. We probably should have someone whose full-time job it is, or in terms of like process, to like interact with people on Twitter to encourage them to come out and canvas. Like, it shouldn't just be me doing it without jokes about Steven not being on Twitter. Like, there should be someone doing that. There should be someone doing that on Reddit. There should be someone doing that. Like, each of these little steps. Now, obviously, we're very early stage. We put this kind of entire process here in like a week, and we've been learning and improving on the process every week since that first weekend project. However, like, there is a long-term process to this. I think there could be a longer-term plan. And obviously, though, when in doubt, think short, stay focused on next week, this coming weekend. Like,
and then, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like to be honest, like I can talk big game aim about like what I would like to do, but honestly, I don't know what this project's going to be after like until at least the Georgia Senate's over. We need to that's the primary focus at the moment.
Okay. And then as a kind of side issue or a side topic, have you read Politics is for Power?
Wait, is that Dr. Johnson? I think I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Well, I'm fairly sure I know what I'm talking about. The name seems very familiar, but this is the book that Steven hits on a lot, I think, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yes, okay. That's the one I was thinking. Yes, I recommended it to him.
Okay, awesome. If there's some big themes, because I'm going to read that prior to going out there, and then I'm going to try to, talk with people about the ideas in the book. Is there any themes in that book in particular that you or Steven found to be particularly like influential or interesting?
I can't comment on what Steven found personally. I know he's made comments online about how he recognized that like political power is up for grabs if you can mobilize for it, and you need to be very utilitarian about it. My perspective has always been like there's two kinds of politics. There's politics of what people are talking about, and then there's actual application. I do not care about Jimmy Dore versus AOC. I don't care about it. All I care about is the number of people you can mobilize to do an election. If Jimmy Dore beats AOC election, then I'll care about Jimmy Dore. Until then, I don't care. Like, and that's my politics. I don't like. I'm a member of the DSA. I've been a member of the Democrat. I'm a registered member of the Democratic Party. I've organized various Democratic campaigns, both some who are candidates who were very liberal and some who are very conservative Democratic candidates. My practical process has always been like pure utilitarianism when it comes to political power. I try to sympathize and empathize with everyone of reasonable people who recognize the general morality of humans, and just. But my focus is more just, let's see, we can focus on winning above all. Like I've attended the DSA events and I've attended the neoliberal events. I'll be honest, the DSA have better parties personally, but minus the factor about party quality. What's important is how you can mobilize people to vote, how you can mobilize people to go out there. How can you deliver political capital, financial capital, labor capital, activist capital? Like, that's what matters. If we can get to that part, just valuing that above all instead of Twitter fights, that's my process right now.
And having an audience that's kind of, in Destiny's words, terminally online, as I would think like a lot of DGGers as well as other online communities are. How do you think that you can mobilize that group of people? Because I would imagine, and I understand that you're here to push the in-person event, so that's what we'll focus on. But I would imagine you understand the limitations of pushing an event that is kind of geographically constrained. So in the future, if you had like an ideal thing that you could push, what are some things that you would try to push for the online communities now that you've had more time interacting with them? Like, what is something you could see yourself motivating internet people to do? That's not canvassing, or that's not, flying out to Georgia?
I mean, it would be show up in person. Like, that's the answer. Like when I was in DSA, I don't want to go into details of what leadership roles I had. We had the rule of no meetings over the internet. As silly as that sounds, it's like no talking about office politics or company politics or whatever in the Slack or in the Discord or messages or Twitter. It was all in person. Because that's what matters. Like, you need to show up, because if not, you're just going to be tunnel visioned into just whoever else you're connected with on the internet. Like, the internet is great. I think it is immensely powerful that it has brought various peoples across backgrounds and geography to create communities that are not physically possible in a physical world. But what's important is, through political organizing, we need to make those communities and put them in the application of physical world. Like, we need you to show up. We need you to do the events. We need you to come out and like support candidate. Because until or unless you can vote for congressman via Twitter, it's not valuable for the political discussion. I will email or Discord call with anyone who can help me make graphics or data or websites to help better this project. But that's a margin. That's maybe 20-30% on the high end. All that matters is in-person organizing. Now, however, here's the interesting thing. It doesn't need to always be Georgia or the one race we pick out. I have made it clear to every DGG or every volunteer who's shown up and talked to me about it. I ask, hey, are you in Georgia? If they say yes, I'm like, okay, what resources do I need to leave you so you can come and try to do like a monthly meeting? At least stay in contact with everyone here. So if we come back to Georgia again, you're already here and you've got something set up for us. So, and you can keep organizing, you can keep motivating, you can maintain the DGG or the gamer caucus with the local senators and congressmen. And that matters. Like, the ideal world of this, like, look, I think in terms of like impressions are a questionable thing and people can debate the reality of the internet all they like. And I will sympathize with that. But if we just focus on like the general like ish number, there's about 2 million impressions of like people that know the ended DGG Twitch universe of like the people who are in networked into this event. 2 million people would make you the largest organizing in the country. That'd make you one of the largest armies in human history, potentially, in terms of you can mobilize 2 million people. It doesn't need to all be in one place. If we get good at this, if we really know what we're doing, and I hope and pray it works out this way to whatever pagan or secular gods there are, we could potentially be organizing for multiple congressmen, assembly members, mayors, city councilmen across the country individually.
Gamers rise up.
Like 20 people most major races can really change how politics work. Remember, the NRA, 20 people on a good weekend, that gets you the most deregulated guns in the world. 20 gamers in the right kind of city council races, the right kind of mayoral races, congressional campaigns. Who knows what kind of policies we could push with that? And it will be a decision of the people that elected those candidates to do so.
So getting people to show up in person seems to be like a key thrust of yours. So that does seem to be something that's important. And I know that that's something that you and Steven have actually like helped to facilitate as much as possible. I'm noticing it like every step of the organization for the event that I've personally come into contact with. For example, one of those things is the hotels. I understand that you guys have already like booked like a lot of hotels for people who, you know, if they can't afford their own, they can come and they can use some of these hotels that you guys have already booked, as long as they can find a way to get their booty down there. Now, availability on those, is there still availability in those hotel rooms for people who maybe are on the fence about coming down?
Well, I just sent you a link, Booksmarts, and if you could share it around with your community, it would be great. It's also on my Twitter. It's linked to our subreddit in the Discord talking about it if you want. Also, it's on at DougofCA Twitter. There are links to the Discord, and the Discord's where a lot of the organizers we're trying to do. It's a kind of our impromptu like office Slack sort of thing. You can still sign up. We prefer for you to sign up sooner rather than later. But if your decision about trying to get down there is on how much a hotel's gonna cost you, we can try and make that happen in terms of housing you for a bit. We can try. We can't promise. We can try. Now, if you 100% can't come down, but you do have the resources to help, you're comfortably employed, you're not a student, you're all paid off, ready to go. There's a link in that link for PayPal you can donate to. That's going to have all of the revenue for that. It's not going to go to me. It's not going to go to Steve. It's all going to go and try to provide the best experience for the campers as possible: hotels, food, etc.
Awesome. And I have that in the chat. For anybody, just real quick, for anybody who wants to get that link again, that has a link to the Discord, which has all of the organizing information on it. From there, you can also sign up for phone banking or anything else, and you will have the links to the sign-up sheet. You will have the links to everything. It explains everything in there. And if you use !Georgia in the chat at any point during this entire, stint of activism, you can get that, and you can go ahead and check that out. And so that's something that you guys are doing. I thought it was really cool that you're covering hotel rooms for people and that you're trying to, help as many people come out as possible. If that's something that somebody in the audience agrees is cool and they want to pitch in to, help, offset the cost of this, because I understand Steven is dumping a lot of money into this and a lot of people are dumping a lot of time into this, yourself included. Sejin, who I've talked to in private as well, is doing a lot of work organizing the phone banking and accommodations. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes doing a lot of good work on this. As you mentioned before, it's nice to receive the compliments. I think you're on top of things. I think Sejin also appears to be on top of stuff.
Did we lose connection? Hello?
Oh, no, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
But yeah, so the hotel thing is something I saw that is in support of this. But again, there's people that keep asking me that if they can't make it to Georgia or if they're not in the US, are there other things that they can do? And I understand phone banking may be an option there. Do you have any other information on that?
So we are not running our own phone bank. We will recommend you to other people, but we are not running our own phone bank. You can, I can say, hey, the more money my boss has, Mr. Stephen Bonnell, otherwise known as Destiny, the more easy it is for him to afford this. You can always donate or subscribe to Stephen. And I cannot guarantee those funds will be used for this office, but the better funded he is, the less concerns there are.
Okay. I think I'll probably reach out to Sejin for more information on that too, just because I understand, because they're DMing me right now about the phone bank stuff. So I know that they still need some people.
Oh wait, oh shoot, no. So so we do have a phone bank. But it's specifically to get people. It's specifically to help coordinate. Are you laughing at something? I'm looking at the Twitch. I wasn't sure if it's me or something else happened.
No, it's just it's funny to receive messages from both of you guys. I'm trying to push as many of the things as I can. Okay, so
okay, so I just so we are doing a phone banking that involves like helping. We're asking people who to help us coordinate the meetings, the carpool, things like that. So if you want to volunteer for that, they can. But we're trying to get that organized like by the end of the day tomorrow. So if you really want to come help and just want a phone bank, that's great.
Awesome. And is the phone banking something that somebody could do even if they're not coming to Georgia?
Of course.
Okay. And it sounds like I'll DM Sejin separately about this because they seem to want to say a dozen things about this. One is wasn't the primary thrust of this anyways. I understand that you're in charge more
I asked if you wanted me to prepare things and you're like, oh no, just first gonna talk about it. Then you're like, oh no, did you prepare this link? I'm like, I thought you said not to prepare things. Weird.
Yeah. Well, that's okay because I think I want to talk about that after I do it anyways because just so that the audience knows, I personally signed up to do the phone banking. So I got my list, and so I'll be doing that probably today, and then I'll report back on what that's like and whatever. Because something also, I was talking to I'm Really Important. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him at all.
I am.
But for him, he was talking about how coverage of this event from the streamer's perspective should kind of, at least for him, be about encouraging them to come out, showing that it's not like a huge, big, scary thing, showing that it's a fun thing, really, making it enticing for people. And that's something that I want to do as well. And I think that's a lot, easier if I'm out there and actually doing this stuff. So I can say, I put in this many hours today. I went out and did this. I called people. It's not that big a deal. Or, after this is all done, then, we knocked on doors. I think one thing that you mentioned about like the long-term impacts of this is also significant, that like going into 2021, this is something that Destiny or any other streamer that took part in it can link back to and say like, yeah, if you want to do canvassing right now for whatever the new election is, or if you want to go out there and volunteer right now, like you can look back on all these other streamers doing it back in, January when we did that for Georgia, and everybody can look at that and see people talking about those experiences and see that it's a normal thing and see the kind of community that can come together around that. And I think that that's going to have like a huge long-term impact that it's difficult to measure right now. But yeah, I'm super hopeful. I'm really happy that all of you guys are working so hard to organize this, and I'll do everything that I can with my like small audience to push it and try to get people out there and encourage them to do whatever they can. Is there anything else that you wanted to say or that you didn't get to cover so far that you would want to plug about the event?
I think that's everything. Everything.
Awesome. Well, sounds good.
I mean, I can do Q&A if you want, I guess, but that's everything.
Yeah.
I'll do a call to action. If you are interested in phone banking, come join the Discord. We have 4 unclaimed lists still for people to call and organize for to remind people to come out and vote, or come out and canvass, or to remind people to come out and carpool if they can. And that's most appreciated if we can get 4 more people to help out with that. In addition, if you are thinking about coming down, if you're already coming down, we are trying to solve a little bit of a carpooling problem with some people. So if you could reach out to me, that'd be much appreciated. If you're in Booksmart's audience, that'd be much appreciated.
All right, awesome. And I'll continue to try to push this link. And if anybody has any questions, I'll tell them they could reach out. And I look forward to it. I look forward to meeting you and, working with you. I hope we can make a difference in Georgia.
Yeah, if I recall from our brief conversation, your thing is rhetoric and it's like that from like a communications theory perspective, correct?
Mm-hmm.
do you like a professional perspective on it? Like, is it like from legal, academic, political, marketing?
No, I basically just I wrote graduate papers for people. So if somebody wanted to get their graduate degree and they needed help with that, whether that's in organizing or editing or drafting or research, I could help them at any step in the process and work with them through that. So in doing that, I also got to like engage a lot with like argument and with like different audience segments and how they're interpreting things. And like seeing kind of across the gradient how different people are like responding to information, and like how does taking information away from people like influence how they interpret things. So a lot of my practice with rhetoric, or a lot of my practice with like communication, was through that. So I did a lot of like behavioral studies work, and that informed a lot of my decisions for like how to like approach people. And then I helped a lot of business people with like marketing stuff and with like kind of maintaining like bonds within a company. So like, how can I keep people like entrenched in a company? How can I make sure that they don't quit? Stuff like that. That's kind of like the overlap where I was at. And some of that was applicable to online. And it was easy to see that like, well, when you frame things this way, people aren't going to want to pick up what you're putting down. And it's not because of what you're saying. It's because of like how you're saying it. And it could have been any idea that you were trying to get like across to them. It wouldn't have made a difference because of the way you wrapped it up. And nobody talked about it at that level. So I figured it was worth trying to fill that gap. That's what I do.
So what do you think of the rhetoric around encourage people to canvas versus in person? Because I was...
Like I would say that it's a big sell to get people to come in and do the canvassing. I almost feel like for a lot of people, they must have some fuck it moment. And it's about getting them to that fuck it moment. Like for me, the fuck it moment was buying my tickets. The second I bought my tickets, I was like strapped in for a big ride. And so if you were able to get me to buy my plane tickets, you would be able to get me to do pretty much everything else. And so I think figuring out what that fuck it moment is for different people, like the point of no return for them, and then trying to get as many people there as possible. I think it's much more difficult for a canvassing effort, but it's a lot easier if it's something like, doing phone banking or something else, where it's like, no, it's all literally on your phone. Like you could still be lazy. You could still be like at home. You could still go do whatever. Like you don't have to change as many things around in your life to like be in a place where you could do this. And if it's easy for them to just sign up for something and to get a list of phone numbers and just like call immediately or something like that, that's why I keep asking about that. That's why probably later I'll talk to Sejin about that. But I see it as much easier to convince people of that, just because it's like a low effort activity when compared to like canvassing for a lot of people.
What do you think of? Because I'm surprised. Usually, I get more pushback from like my utilitarianism. My like ideology is a luxury. Power is all that matters.
Oh, I mean, I think it makes sense to me, because I think you're just changing where you're measuring like the success of outcomes. And you're like, well, if the success of outcome is really like what eventually changes, I'm going to put my detector for success closer to like the actions necessary to make change happen, and not way downstream from it at where like ideas start. Like you don't care about the conception of ideas and forming them out. You care about how those actually end up looking practically. And then after they're, practically sorted, then what do we actually need to do boots on the ground to like make that thing happen? And I think you're way closer to like what the actual result is of things, and you're focused over there, whereas some people are focused way at the inception of things and they like playing around over there.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for platforming this conversation and hosting it. Thank you for dealing with the small bit of trying to figure out this little thing we had to deal with the phone banking.
There you go.
Everyone, make sure you subscribe to Booksmarts on all the platforms: Twitch, Twitter, OnlyFans, YouTube, etc. And thank you very much for your time, everyone. Appreciate it. Please show up in Canvas. If not, share the link around.
Awesome. Will do. Have a good one and best of luck. Keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye. There we go. That's DougofCA. You can find him on Twitter. You can find him on Discord. And you can also find him by clicking on the link, do !Georgia in the chat, and that will always bring up the link to the Reddit post where they have a bunch of other information. One of the bits of information is a link to their Discord channel. In that Discord channel, you'll find plenty of other information about how to sign up for different activities, how to donate, and everything else. And of course, you will also find Doug of California, who is an organizer at this event, and he's trying to help make things happen. Yeah, there's going to be all sorts of fun stuff. They're going to have lunch ready for you guys. If you can't afford the hotels, hotels can be provided to you for right now. Granted, there's limited availability on that. So, try to click on the Reddit link. Try to go to the Discord. Try to sign up. If you think you can make it down there, if it's like a drive away and you know that you can do it and you're like contemplating and you're like, they'll probably have enough people. They'll probably be good. Whatever. If you're thinking something like that, don't. Just go do it. Go do it and sign up now, because that fuck it moment for you, I want it to be right now. That way everybody can plan around it. I don't want your fuck it moment to be the day of where you decide, oh, that thing's happening today. I wish I could do it. But if I drive now, it's only going to be this much time and I don't know if shit's already booked. Do it now. Get that taken care of now. If you think you're on the fence, if you know that you can do this, just go do the planning, because once you do the planning, you know that you're strapped in and you know that it'll happen. So if you want future you to do this, we talk a lot about how you can separate past you and future you. If past you right now wants to do this thing in the future, set up future you for success. Go on to that Discord channel, sign up for things, sign up for the hotel list, do what you got to do. And then, then you'll be there, and I'll see you there, and I'll be there, and all kinds of other people will be there. Irrelevant will be there. Dylan Burns will be there. I'm Really Important will be there. Big Boss Bose will be there. Some little streamer named Steven from a channel called Destiny will be there. All kinds of people will be there, big and small. So, if you want to go and you want to make a change, you want to make that happen, if you're in the area and you think you could do it, I would encourage you to do it. I think it'll be fun. And here's the thing, is you might be a part of something that's going to change in 2021. It might be that there starts to be a divide in the streamers on this platform that do something with their platform and the streamers on this platform that are just big talk, okay? And it might be that you'll start to see that in 2021, after COVID is done, people will start to value going out more. People will see the power in that. And if we're starting 2021 out by having a huge turnout of these Twitch people go out and actually make a big difference, and we actually win this, and even if we don't, it's still huge. It's still huge that people showed up. I think this could have like a really long-lasting impact, and it'd be cool to say that you were one of the people that was there in 2021, and you were one of the people that started the year off by trying to make a difference in a way that you know how, and that was presented in front of you. Steven is fronting a lot of like the expenses for this. Steven is fronting a lot of like the risk for this, and we talk a lot of memes about how socialists don't understand like the risks of business or the risks of spending capital on stuff. Well, here he is. He put his capital where his mouth is, and he's putting it behind something he believes in, and I think that that's cool. I can only hope that once I'm at like a level where I can afford shit like that I choose to make those decisions. Like, I don't think people talk about that a lot, but I see that, and I think that that's important to mention. So I don't know. You already motivated me. All right, well, there you go. Will you sign my Bernie Sanders book? I'll sign whatever, dude. I'll sign your boobs as long as you're 18. I'm only coming because of Moon. Well, there you are. At Booksmarts, is the hotel thing only for polyamorous people, or are monogamous couples allowed to join as well? The hotel rooms they have booked have 2 beds in them. So if you are a monogamous couple, then I'm sure that you would be able to figure that out. You should sign up. You should, in the extra section of your sign-up sheet, put that you want to be in a couple with your monogamous partner, and I'm sure that they could work something out for you. that could very well be the case. I don't think you might need the extra bed, but if that's the case and you meet somebody there who needs it, maybe, you know, figure something out. Signing boobs isn't socially distant. Yeah. I'll use a very long pen. Let me sign your boobies. Hey, Booksmarts, this is awesome. Thanks, dude. Especially since he just lost his partnership, I'm very impressed he decided to go with this plan. Yeah, so, you know, like, I'm happy. I'm happy he's putting his money into this, dude. It's really cool. And, like, you got to think, he booked all these hotel rooms for people, and they still have availability, which is why I'm like, for real, dude, if the only thing standing in your way is a hotel room and you know that you can drive out to this or you can fly out to this and it's no problem for you, just do it, man. Just do it. And you can say hi to Booksmarts. Like, hello. You can hang out with all these different streamers and you can have a good time and you can make a fucking difference and you can do something cool. So, you know, that's all you got to do. Just, again, !Georgia. That's the command. Anybody uses that, bingo bango. Go to the Reddit. This explains everything. If you just quickly give a glance through this, or if you just click on the sign up link, which should be either in this or in the Discord, then you can sign up and then you can say that I just need a hotel. I'm going to fucking come down there. I'll be down there 1 day, 2 day, whatever, however many days, dude. Unfortunately, I work weekends, so it wasn't in the cards for me. Otherwise, I would have gone. Yeah. Or if you're somebody that's a shitter and you're like, I work too, but I bet you that I would pull in some sick days. Pull in your sick days. Fuck your boss, dude. This is probably more impactful than your stupid fucking job. So that, no, not for you, Acquiesce. Don't be bad. I'm just saying, if you're okay with being bad, this is your opportunity to be bad. If you have fucking called in sick for work because you're tired, or I'm not feeling like it, or I'm taking a self-rewarding day or whatever, then you can take a day to go do canvassing. If that's the only thing standing in your way, there you go. Remember all the other times that you fucked over your work by taking days off or whatever, and consider doing that for this. That's what I would say. No, I just don't get paid leave. Well, there you go. Do you need the extra money, dude? Do you need the extra money for those 2 days? Consider it. I'm currently doing the best I can to apply to a million fucking jobs so I can afford to go. There you go. That's what you can do. And you know what you have to do when you're applying to a million fucking jobs, Saber Chick? I bet you're on the phone for some percentage of that. So you could probably do some phone banking. So if you want to do that, then you can do that. There are king-size beds available as well.
Hey!